My typical morning begins with getting up with the kids, making them breakfast, and I'll make myself coffee. And boop. As you can probably guess from some of my other content, I work from home full time. And I have so for about 10 years. I work for a company headquartered in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, on the East Coast. And since I work on the West Coast, I arrive about 3 hours behind a lot of the action. I have clients in the West Coast of Canada and all across Canada and the US. A lot of our customers, however, are in the East. So by the time I arrive, there's always a lot going on. So my first order of business is usually a meeting, or I start my first block of work that I've scheduled. Hey guys, Mike Taylor, aka BattleshipCobra here. I get this question a lot. What do I do in a typical day, and what does an SAP consultant do? A lot of people have expressed that they would like to become SAP consultants. Maybe they work for a company that does accounting and they have worked with SAP Business One and they want to get more into the software. But today I wanted to do an overview of the typical responsibilities that I have and give you a sense of what I do each day and what you would do if you became an SAP Business One consultant. As I mentioned, I work from home and I have for about 10 years. So I do have a free course on working from home, remote.battleshipcobra.com for that course on Udemy. It's an online course, self-paced. For other information about me, just go to www.battleshipcobra.com. And now we're going to jump into some points that I've put together on what I do every day. So these are my typical responsibilities. I broke them out into 5 broad areas. I personally do customer support and kind of ongoing development, project work, migration work, pre-sales, and then some training and research. Some consultants don't do this broad range of things. Maybe they only do project work. Some would only do pre-sales and sales, etc. Some might only do support. So for me, I get a nice variety of things. I enjoy doing support. I enjoy building reports and doing ongoing work with customers. I enjoy doing project work. I have gone from doing lots of sales and pre-sales and demos and things. We consider pre-sales as demoing, to doing a lot less lately, but it is still something I get questions about. So a salesperson or a pre-sales person would ask me about capabilities, or they'll ask me to join a specific meeting. So it depends. It depends what kind of consultant you want to be. I'll break it down, and I feel like I do have a kind of a broad range. Again, you could add development to this if you wanted, if you were going to do more SDK work. I don't typically do that. You could kind of lump what I would do under customer support and service or project work. My customer support and service covers a really broad range of things. I would typically do kind of anything that the customer would need relating to the SAP Business One system. I don't tend to get into anything technical or really technical relating to, say, printing or relating to network infrastructure and things. I don't really think that's part of a consultant's typical scope, but I will get involved in layouts, assisting if there's a print error as much as I can. Obviously, I can't tune the actual printers. I'll do SQL work. We'll do troubleshooting of the modules in SAP and all those things. So if we look at my list, how-to and training is pretty common. So I'll get new scenarios. Mike, how do I do this particular thing in the system? I'll test a little bit. I'll provide some options and some pros and cons, and I try to let the customer choose. I can support that with B1UP customizations, queries, or reports. Training, if people want training on a particular module, they'll ask me, CRM module, opportunities, things like that. error messages where, it's an error that comes up, something's happening, I need to look into it and try to fix it, or in some cases raise the ticket to SAP Global. Crystal reports, I love Crystal reports. The layouts, reports, and doing everything with it for outputting information, designing, and the full scope of reports. I actually love to do that. SQL queries, same thing. They need, a customer would need some information. I write the query up. I make the query. I can place it in a B1UP universal function or just in the regular SAP Query Manager. B1UP customization. Somebody comes up again with like, how do I do this? Or I need support with that. And I use the B1UP, B1 usability package to make those dreams come true. It can happen to you. So B1UP customization is something I do almost every day. Add-on selection and implementation too. So people will ask, what can we do for this or that? And sometimes I'll be suggesting modules or different things, or in a lot of cases, it'll be B1UP print and delivery, stuff like that. And we'll help with and do the implementation for those modules. Project work would be, as you can see on screen, we do a lot of blueprinting. I would do a lot of blueprinting and scoping. So I listen to the requirements of the customer, and we do a document called a blueprint, which is basically the blueprint. If you're going to build a house, the blueprint is what you're going to build if you build the system. So we have to narrow it down. We don't have to have every photo on the wall. Let's save that analogy of a house. We don't need to know what color the carpet's going to be necessarily, but we know the structure of the house. We know where the doors are going to go. We know where the furnace room is and the kitchen, all that stuff, right? So we're going to blueprint and scope. SQL and SAP installation, fresh installations, those are great. You need to know how to do that, in my professional opinion, so that you can own that part. We get a VM from friendly IT teams, and then we'll be the ones that need to customize it and do all the work of SAP and SQL in there, including generally selecting it, what version and what we're going to use. System configuration and testing. So there's a lot of configuration testing, setting up the processes so that they work well, making sure they're using the right combination of settings and setup for what you're going to do, that you've enabled the right modules, that you've set up the right checkboxes, and that you've configured your tax codes all correctly. Your items are all set up correctly and all those things. DTW conversion, so we get ugly, dirty data that's incorrectly configured. It's very unusual for a customer to be able to do their own DTW sheets. I maybe have had 2 customers that have been able to do it. So typically we'll spend a lot of time looking at spreadsheets. I really have to find a balance between getting too obsessive compulsive over making everything perfect and just using best practices in order to get things in the way that you would want them so they're clean. So you spend a lot of time in Excel in this regard. And with the DTW, you need to know what you're looking for. It saves you a lot of time doing that. Of course, again, we have layouts, queries, and reports, same as what we're doing with customer service. We would scope those reports. Those are generally something that's required. SAP out of the box does a good job of what you need to do to have information come out of SAP, but the problem is every customer really wants custom reports. To them, they're standard reports that should be included in the system, but the problem is that's not always the case. So we end up spending some time customizing reports and adding queries in order to get the customer exactly what they want. An implementation could include an add-on, from a small add-on like B1UP to a large add-on like a manufacturing add-on, or working with another consultant or even a vendor to implement that system. Coordinating with them in order to have the requirements of what we're going to do and what the add-on needs to do and what the add-on is going to be set up with. Generally, we're not going to try and become experts of that add-on, especially if it's something we don't use all the time. So a lot of times it'll be either coordination with a particular consultant that can do it really well and working with them, or it'll be working with the vendors themselves in order to get the best end result. So once we have all the setup for that customer and we've mapped out all their business processes and we've matched their system set up with all their business processes and all their information is in there, we'll start to do training. The training should be specific to the customer and specific to their particular process. So I don't like to do generic, training, which is why it's tough to do training videos in SAP Business One, because the basic navigation will be mostly the same, but beyond that, a customer's process will be very different in depending on what they're going to do and how they do things. It could be completely different between customers. It's always completely different between customers. The fields they use, the jargon that they use, and everything. You should train them specifically to their system. Then, of course, you have the go live. We load all the AR, AP balances, inventory balances, trial balances. We switch everything over. We get them going live. They've already done their user acceptance testing stuff. I didn't really put that in there, but there's UAT. UAT, customers doing user acceptance testing. They're looking at things and they're saying, oh, what about this scenario? What about that scenario? And we work with them to make sure all the things that they need are covered. Go live obviously is stressful. You can be on site. But you'll be usually on site just in case things break or whatever happens. But the more testing you do and the better that the customer gets familiar with their system before, the better off you're going to be. You need to kind of cross all your dots, cross all your T's, dot all your I's, and make sure that the customer signs off on that UAT, because they need to take some responsibility in their own system. Don't let them tell you it's your system and you warranty it. It's not. They have to take responsibility for that. This is their new process and this is their new system. So it's not fair to say, oh, SAP is broken and it's your problem, right? So it's my way of thinking about it anyways. I think it's pretty fair. Another big part of being an SAP Business One consultant is migrations and upgrades. Typically, a well-done migration, a well-done upgrade will include a migration to a new VM. That's the best way to do it rather than upgrading in place. But the scope of the work is somewhat similar to a new project. So again, you scope and quote, you need to dig into their system and make sure you're covering all the little things that they use and all the things that are on that machine and all the little settings and setup that they have. Do they use SPO mailer? Do they use the B1UP server component? Do they have special printing tools or all that stuff? So you make sure you cover the full scope. I've been burned a few times forgetting to ask, or the customer hasn't brought it up. So it's kind of like, oops, my bad, we forgot this major module. Hopefully in testing they'll catch it. Sometimes, whatever. So you have typical stuff you could see on screen: SQL installation, you migrate the production database, you upgrade the production database, you test it, you troubleshoot the issues. Sometimes versions don't go direct, so you might have to do double upgrade. Schedule the final upgrade with the customer. You're going to help them do testing for themselves. Again, like the project, you want to do user acceptance testing to make sure they've taken some responsibility for their system and that it works. Then you do the go live, the cutover on the weekend typically, and you move the final database over, and then you do the upgrade the workstations, boom, go live, and with the new system. So you don't have to do as much settings and setup and stuff, but you're going to have to do a few things, and you're probably going to have some post-go live stuff as well. So you want to be ready on the Monday morning so that if people have big issues or little issues or things aren't working properly, that you can jump in there and help them immediately. Another aspect of what I do is pre-sales and sales. Again, I don't do as much pre-sales and sales these days, but I used to do everything from the lead to closing the deal to implementing SAP to supporting it. So you have your typical stuff, you have your conference calls and meetings. You would discuss and scope specific requirements for the new systems. Q&A sessions, whether you're just involved in a call and people are asking you, can SAP do this? How would you approach this? Do we need additional add-ons? Just kind of using your expertise. Sometimes I attend demos, again, for that reason, maybe to just quickly think of ideas on the spot or to kind of scope and be involved. If I'm going to be the one doing the project or running the project, I need to know from the very beginning what's going to happen. Coordinating with add-on vendors, asking questions, scoping, looking for new add-ons. I do proof of concepts to either help pre-sales demo guys, or if I'm going to demo myself, or just even to test and to learn a new module that will be involved in a new project. And I'll help other demo consultants do demos or make little modules or customizations that have to do with B1 Up typically, or Crystal Reports or whatever else. Last but definitely not least is training and research. So as I have been doing this for quite a while now, I can do a little bit of a more variety of things, including shadowing and helping new consultants or new support consultants to help orient new support consultants get used to what they're doing, or they'll have questions on how would you approach this situation. Could you help me with a ticket? Have you ever seen this error message? I like to spend time going through my philosophy and really trying to give a context to the whole situation for the new consultant so that they can kind of understand where I'm coming from, what I'm thinking, and how I would approach the situation. You know, they'll ask me questions, even just generic questions. The customer said this, or you know, I'm having a difficult time approaching this, or I don't know what to do. Specific training on SAP or Crystal Reports, SQL, or B1 Up, where I'll actually dig in and train them kind of just quickly on the phone. Here's how it works, and here's some things I've learned. And you know, basically just being there for support, and definitely moral support through difficult situations, or if they get stuck. A lot of the times they'll reach out to me and say, hey, I'm stuck on this. How would you approach this? Do you have any ideas from your experience? So this is actually one of the most fun parts, I think, and it's very rewarding to see somebody who you are working with who's pretty new to SAP, and to take them and get them, you know, familiar with SAP. Then you know they're crawling first, then they're walking, then they're running, and all of a sudden, all this effort you've put in, you talk to them an hour a day or something. And then, you know, in a couple months, they're doing their own tickets completely independently. They're making their own Crystal Reports. They're making their own queries. They're doing their own B1 Up customizations. And then finally, you can actually assign stuff to them and they get it done like an expert. It's really amazing, and again, very rewarding. And I'm very privileged to be able to be in this position to help other consultants. And that's partly why I do this channel. And it's partly why I'm sharing all this information with you guys. So that's it for this video. I hope this gives you an idea of what I would do in a typical day, and an understanding of maybe whether or not you would want to do this or not. Maybe this doesn't appeal to you whatsoever. Maybe it really does, and now you're more excited. The next steps from here, if you have no experience, would be to reach out to a partner in your area. I get people asking me all the time. I don't hire anybody. I don't do anything with hiring. I'm not an SAP partner. I can tell you what I'm about to tell you right now. Look up the SAP Business One partners in your area, contact them, and give them some indication as to why you should be hired. Do you have some experience with Crystal Reports? Are you working with a customer? Have you done study by yourself? Ask them if you could run through the training from the SAP Business One Academy, the Learning Hub, I think it's called now. Can you do your level 1 certification, by yourself and work on that? And then, likely if you show that you have put some effort in and you have a good attitude and you have put some effort ahead, more than likely you're going to get hired. We're always looking for useful, demonstrated, and already functional consultants that have a great attitude, that have good communication skills, that have existing customer relationships. So contact an SAP Business One partner near you, and that's a good place to start. Get certified, and then you can potentially move around. Some of the larger partners are all over the world, and you can do it that way. So again, if you have contacted me, I don't represent hiring or HR for any SAP Business One partner. I work for Forgestic. I do consulting for Forgestic with Forgestic, but I don't hire anybody. But that is just the situation. Thank you guys so much for checking out my videos. As usual, I really appreciate it. Subscribe, like, and click the notification bell, especially if you don't visit YouTube that frequently. I do videos every week, Monday mornings, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you want to contact me on linkedin.battleshipcobra.com, add me to your professional network. Say hi, send me a video topic you'd like to see. I'd love to hear from you. I can help you a little bit and get you oriented in things. I don't want to answer error message questions. I'm sorry, you need to contact your partner for that. It's not something I can just do. There's too much of it. So if you need guidance on basic stuff, how you would approach a situation, you want to say hi, tell me a cool project you're working on or something that you can do, that's amazing. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye for now.